Nerd Talks.
Welcome back to Nerd Talks. Today we're talking about the Marvel Cinematic Universe in the state of. I'm here with Ashton. We're going to take a look over the years here. We're almost at 20 years, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And we're just going to talk about what we think about it, what's going on, what's happened in the past, and what's going to happen here in the near future. Last week we just had the Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer come out, and it looked really good. And as of this week, Daredevil will be coming out. And we will have, as I seen reported, the first 2 episodes should be out this week, and then 1 episode for the next 7 weeks. The next 7 weeks, I believe. I think there's 8 episodes. But yeah, we'll take a look at what's happened here in the past. Today we're not going to talk about anything, I don't think, unless it's relevant to the movies about Fox, or any other outside influences other than maybe like the Netflix shows, just because they've come back into relevance. So anyway, let's get started here. Where would you like to start? Should we just start at the beginning?
Yeah, we can start at the beginning. Starts with what? Iron Man 1 or Hulk?
So the year is 2008, and we're about to hit.
They both dropped 2008, don't they?
Yep.
One was a boy.
The year is 2008. Prior to this, we've had Spider-Man movies. And I don't think at this point we've had the second set of Spider-Man movies. I'm pretty sure it's just the first set of Spider-Man movies. The last one comes out in 2006 or 2007.
Really? I didn't know those came out that early.
The Tobey Maguire?
Yeah.
Yes, almost certainly. I can double check here on the fly, but almost certainly. Those came out. The X-Men movie, I believe, came out in 2000 or 2001. And the only thing prior to that is Blade. So we end up here in the grand year of 2008, and they are about to premiere a well-known to the comics, but not well-known, I think, across the masses, and that's Iron Man. I think at this point, people in the masses are familiar with Hulk, Spider-Man, Wolverine.
Yeah, I suppose, because there were earlier Hulk movies, huh?
Well, there's the movies, but I think those are also that characters that have just been pushed. Those are some of the front-running characters of the franchise in the past. So I think people are just familiar. Spider-Man 3 is in 2007. I think people are just generally familiar with those characters. They put them on t-shirts. Those are pretty popular characters in Marvel in general. So we get Iron Man, who is usually a member of the Avengers. At this point, I have very little information when I watched the movie, when it first came out. Very little information about Iron Man. Simultaneously, they are preparing to release Hulk. They're released May 2nd, 2008 for Iron Man, and June 13th, 2008 for the Incredible Hulk. So within a month, we get back-to-back Marvel movies.
That's wild.
And they're good. Iron Man is, we all know the story of Iron Man, and it's interesting because of the end where he reveals that he is Iron Man. And so other than the X-Men, we're used to these people, Batman in particular. The Dark Knight actually comes out in 2008 as well. So we're used to Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, all keeping their identities hidden. And when we see Iron Man for the first how much of the movie, he's not publicly out about it, but at the end he reveals, he is Iron Man. I am Iron Man. And so that kind of takes us into this kind of whirlwind of what's going to happen. And mostly we get that because I believe it's at the end of the Hulk movie. It is at the end of the Hulk movie. Is that the end of Iron Man? I don't remember that end credit scene. So in Iron Man, we established S.H.I.E.L.D. exists. I believe we also established Nick Fury exists. He is at the end of Iron Man. And this is where we begin to people just begin to scatter. I mean, at this time, I'm too young to really like put together, everything that's happening, but I do understand who Nick Fury is. And going into the Incredible Hulk, their end credit scene is Tony Stark showing up talking to General Ross. And this is this is where we're, we find out for the first time officially that these movies are connected and will be going forward. So phase 1 is Iron Man, the Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America, the first Avenger, and the Avengers.
Now we haven't had a solo Hulk movie since.
That's a rights issue.
I am aware.
With Universal.
They need to step up their game. Either they need to make the movie, or I feel like they should just lose the rights.
Generally, they do lose the rights, but it has to be so many years. I'm wondering if it's 20 years or something like that, when we could be getting one here in 2028 because Universal hasn't made a movie. I think Universal is kind of scared to make the movie, just because, I mean, I guess you could do it, but it's I don't know,
it's too late now.
Making a Marvel
because it's not going to be a Hulk movie. It's going to be a Banner.
Yeah. Well, it's just it throws you off, and people go to watch it, and I feel like if you watch the Hulk movie, even if it was good,
Sony treatment for their movie,
yeah, you get bombed.
Good,
well, not that they can't make a good movie. I think they would get bombed, review bombed, because you would just be people would go to see it and think that they're seeing something that's related to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, see that it's not Mark Ruffalo, and then just get really thrown off by this story that has nothing to do with the MCU, and just get review bombed just for that alone.
Yeah.
Because they're this, what the hell happened, Yeah, so the first phase, what do you think about it? Phase 1, you were probably a little young to be actually watching them as they came out, but I do remember them as they came out. For the most part, I think I skipped over Thor and Captain America originally, and it was something that I think I went back to catch up on, just because they were a little... I think I remember watching Captain America relatively soon, but Thor was a movie I did have to go back and watch before the Avengers came out. What did you think of Phase 1 as a whole?
I thought it was pretty good. I mean, probably my favorite movie out of all of them is probably Thor.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Generally, people would say that's their least favorite or the worst.
No, I like that one. I wouldn't say I have a worst, but I think I definitely favorite that one the most.
Okay.
And it's probably because, besides, the Hulk, that might have been, the first Marvel movie I saw, other than the Hulk. Because I know we had the Hulk on DVD.
Sure.
Very sure. However.
Sure.
And so I don't even remember when I watched, but I really liked Thor. I don't know. I don't have any particular reason. Just I liked Thor the most.
Sure. And the storytelling here was strange, right? So the Marvel Cinematic Universe starts out, and they're saying that basically all these movies are going to connect. Now, as far as I know, at least in big blockbuster movies, this has never been done before. We've had spin-offs probably in the past, but nothing where each movie is its own standalone feature film, not a spin-off of another one, in which the characters cross over. Not only do we see little hints and bits here where we see, Howard Stark in Captain America, or Stark Tech in a Hulk movie, right? But then we get the Avengers, in which they actually cross over.
Yeah, well, we see it in Thor and I think Iron Man, Phil Coulson.
Yes.
Both movies?
Yes. Yeah. So he is the first.
No, he has Hawkeye in Thor.
Phil Coulson has to be the first named character that crosses a movie that isn't just an end credit scene, other than maybe Nick Fury. But actually, Nick Fury didn't show up in Iron Man. He showed up in Iron Man 2 and Thor. So Phil Coulson
was Nick Fury in Thor? I don't remember Nick Fury in Thor.
Who was leading the operation? Was it Phil the whole time?
Yeah.
Okay, then
I'm pretty sure it's him, boots on the ground, because he's always on the phone.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh yeah, no, we got
I know.
down.
I know that he showed up in that instance and that he was there, but I don't know if we ever saw Nick Fury also in.
Oh, thank you, saw him, Fury. I think I remember like the only black dude in the whole movie.
Sure. But phase 1 generally is pretty good. We get, like I said, Thor isn't regarded always as the best. Iron Man 2 isn't generally regarded that great. But
Iron Man, probably out of all of them, Iron Man probably has my favorite scene out of the first phase.
In the first Iron Man or second one?
In the first one. And that's Obadiah's Day. Tony Stark built this in a cave with a box of scripts.
Hell yeah.
I'm not Tony Stark, sir.
After the Avengers, though, we get this huge blockbuster event. And it is an event. It's crazy. We've never seen the star power, I don't think, from leads from multiple movies showing up in another movie together. The budget on this movie had to be crazy, but they knew it was going to pay off.
Samuel L. Jackson.
RDJ at this point, they're paying him a lot.
Yep. And then Chris.
Yep. Well, Mark Ruffalo is no slouch either. He's been in a bunch of movies. I'm sure
for sure. But I'd probably say those are like the big known 3 for sure.
Sure.
Especially,
Chris Hemsworth is in there.
Oh,
Scarlett Johansson is in here. I think you're missing some. I'm thinking you're missing some names.
Yeah,
here. These people are big people.
Yeah,
but before they were these
Scarlett Johansson.
Before these, they were superheroes. These people had like a range of movies that they were doing.
Yeah, maybe forget.
But after that, we move into phase 2, and phase 2 deals a lot with the ramifications of the first phase, and we end up with Iron Man 3, Thor: The Dark World, Captain America: The Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers: Age of Ultron, and then finally ending on Ant-Man. Now we could dive a little bit into this one a little bit more. I don't want to spend too much time on any one movie, but we can dissect a couple of these movies here. So Iron Man 3 is pretty good. I mean,
is that the one where
it's actually
that fire dude?
It's actually not that good. Yeah.
Because the second one is the Russian whip guy.
Yeah. So in Iron Man 3, he fights Eldridge Killian, who uses the I forget what the biotech type thing that they're using. It blows up some people, but some people can handle it. They're using it originally to cure. They were using it to repair limbs in body parts and stuff like that, but it ended up being a weapon that they started using. The movie doesn't really establish much as far as for the greater overall story. It does do a really good job of showing a hero that is, I don't want to say simply a man, because obviously Tony Stark is a pretty grand man, especially as we learn throughout the series, but he's hyper intelligent. He's
not Captain America, the super soldier serum. He's not Thor, who's a god.
Yeah.
Then it's not Hulk with the Hulk. He's just a man who's super smart and super rich.
Yeah. And so we see him deal with the psychological ramifications, the consequences really of having to deal with a serious near-death experience, as well as an alien attack, which no one can really wrap their head around because we've never had that issue. But we see him do, our PTSD, anxiety attacks, all of that. And I think that helps ground these movies at this point in our, line of movies. We hit Thor: The Dark World, which goes super fantasy. It goes even more fantasy than the first Thor, which was only a little bit of fantasy. Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Now, Captain America,
we saw Loki be good.
Yeah. Well, no. In the first movie, we see him technically being good, unlike the first half of the movie, really.
Well, then we get Avengers race.
Well, yeah, but in the first Thor movie, he's like traveling with him. He's like part of their whole like group, and like they're like going
in the first one.
Yes, we're gonna move past it. I am 100% correct. I've seen Thor not that long ago. So we get Thor: The Dark World. It doesn't really do that much. It helps just kind of bring up.
It gives
what
Thor a
happened.
second movie.
It gives Thor a second movie. It shows us what happened to Loki, who at this time I don't think they know is going to be a huge character. That later becomes what will be learned to Loki to be. But it's another kind of aftermath movie, but it deals with the aftermath in kind of a different way. We get Captain America: The Winter Soldier, another kind of aftermath movie, but it's an aftermath in.
I liked Winter Soldier.
I'm going to talk about the Winter Soldier here in a minute, in more in depth. But it's more about Captain America kind of moving from I didn't know where my place was in the world to finding his place, then losing it again. Kind of trying to establish where he is, right?
Right, because that's when they find out Hydra's intercepted S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yes. So multiple things on the face of the Winter Soldier here. So it's the first time we have a major crossover. Now, Thor: The Dark World also does a crossover with the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show, but the Winter Soldier is like the definitive point that both of these two cross over. I just watched this with my oldest son, and we watched one episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We watched the movie, and then we watched the other episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and kind of watched the transition from both ends of being within S.H.I.E.L.D. itself, and then kind of being characters that were kind of outer of S.H.I.E.L.D., if you will.
Dope.
Super cool. I love that they did the connection there. The Winter Soldier does a couple of things. It introduces us to the Winter Soldier himself. Bucky. It does come out in 2014, and it is actually the first movie in. It's a weird thing. So it's the first movie in kind of this sub trilogy that happens within the movies, and the sub trilogy is really the Winter Soldier, Civil War. And I mean, obviously this is Captain America's trilogy as well, but there's another line that runs through those that kind of directly lines up into Infinity War and eventually Endgame. So that's that. We have the first phase. We go into the next phase. We get our big three. So Iron Man, Thor, Captain America. We give them all their next movies and kind of establish where they are in the world. We go into the Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, this is the first time we do something that's totally weird and
not even related.
It is the first movie where it's totally not related to any of the characters. And it might be one of the greatest. I mean, The Winter Soldier is up there for being one of the greatest movies in the MCU, just like point blank overall. They hit like all of the notes. But Guardians of the Galaxy also does it.
Also, the first time we see Black Panther? Winter Soldier? Is that later that I'm thinking of? That's way later.
Scott.
I haven't seen the movies in quite some time.
So Guardians of the Galaxy comes out. It's our first like true comedy movie. It's way different than anything we've seen before. I'm gonna kind of just speed run through the rest of these so that we can actually talk about the MCU overall instead of just recapping all these movies. Avengers: Age of Ultron just introduces us to new characters. Really, that's kind of all that movie does. It gives us another team movie.
Scarlet Witch and Vision.
In Vision, it officially at the end is when they actually show the characters that are officially becoming Avengers and going to be in the next Avengers lineup. I think War Machine is there as well as Falcon, Vision, and Scarlet Witch. Then we go into Ant-Man, another standalone hero movie. It is the first that isn't one of the big three, that isn't a team-up movie, giving us Ant-Man with Paul Rudd, which is fantastic. And just here, I didn't actually know this, but it's refreshing my mind that Paul Rudd actually helped write the movie, which is fantastic. And I think you could tell. Ant-Man. Yeah, Ant-Man is really good. It's another comedy movie, but it's it's not so out there and insane as Guardians of the Galaxy, which can probably throw some viewers off just because if you're not a super hardcore nerd, and you look at Ant-Man where it's just like Paul Rudd and he is a guy that's called Ant-Man, similar to Spider-Man, maybe. Like people that don't know comics and stuff like that, and that's kind of how you see it. And then Guardians of the Galaxy, which is like, what the hell am I? This guy's, these people are blue and green, and so we get talking raccoon.
We got Dave Bautista. We got Chris Pratt.
All well-known names.
Yeah. But like that's it's like we got a wrestler in a movie. We got Dave Bautista playing Drax. We got Chris Pratt playing Star-Lord. There is a lot of big names in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have at this point the main names on the main characters. Yeah, the main characters in every movie so far has been no new people. These are people that have been in the industry. We know who they are. They're not trying to risk anything, especially this early, especially with these experimental movies. We're not going to risk it. We're going to just secure some people whom people know and are familiar with. Ant-Man ends our phase 3, and we move into or phase 2, and we move into phase 3 where we have Civil War that starts us off. And Civil War is a great launch point for phase 3 because it really dials in on exactly what's going to happen here. It is part of this, I like to call it the Cap and Bucky trilogy. Mm-hmm. It's not just part of Captain America's story. It's kind of everyone's story that this kind of bromance, this friendship revolves around. Because it travels through more and more of the stories. And I mean, we have it all the way up into, they don't really talk about it that much in the newest Captain America and Captain America 4, but they do talk about it in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The show is really, obviously Captain America, Steve Rogers isn't in that show, but it gets brought up and it's kind of around that kind of idea. And after the Civil War and everyone breaks up, with Splinter, we start to get, we kind of spider out into a bunch of different things, pun intended. But we start off with Doctor Strange.
That is, honestly, that might be easily one of my favorite movies.
Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange was a really good man. Yeah, the first one was really good. He was also supposed to be he's supposed to take up the mantle of leading, as RDJ did before. Benedict Cumberbatch was supposed to become the next, in that same role, not within the movies themselves, but kind of like that face,
Yeah.
So we get that. We get Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is kind of it's okay. It's not bad. I liked it as far as the relationships in it, but
I'm trying to remember really what happened.
They go to Ego.
Oh
yeah. The only thing that I really liked about it was Yondu's parts and the relationship between Yondu.
Yeah.
The relationship between I can't think of Star-Lord's real name, which is he would probably love as a character. But
he would.
Peter Quill's character as Peter Quill, as far as his relationship with as far as his relationship with his father and then his dad. I'm using that context separately to distinguish between the two people that were his father,
but he ain't too daddy.
Exactly that line. That was a great part of the movie. And then also the rocket stuff as well. Which we later find out James Gunn actually intended Rocket to be really the main character of the Guardians of the Galaxy. He's really
that's cool.
He's actually the character to really follow and watch kind of through those movies. So next time you kind of watch those movies, maybe take that into consideration that the trilogy is really about him and less maybe about.
Because they do end the trilogy with him.
Yeah. And then we get Spider-Man Homecoming. So it's the first time we get a Spider-Man movie. Since I think 2014 or 2015, whatever the last The Amazing Spider-Man 2 was. And this is fully establishing, as we established in Civil War, Tom Holland as our new Spider-Man. I'm going to quickly continue to burn through these. We got Thor Ragnarok, which takes a different kind of take on Thor. We kind of get a little soon. I did, but I recently, with more reflection, I actually don't like Thor Ragnarok as a standalone movie. If they just,
it's not that. I will agree, it's not that great of a movie, but if you don't connect it to anything else,
it's not bad. That's what I was gonna say. If it was a standalone film and they were just this is a movie, and it wasn't even Thor, and it could have just been any random named character, and it was just a standalone film, I'd be like, this is a good movie. The fact that it is Thor, it actually, I think, deteriorates and ruins Thor's character
a little.
Yeah.
Because,
it gets a little silly. And the silliness, I don't know. They ruined part of Hulk's story by going to this planet because that's actually supposed to be where he becomes Planet Hulk and World War Hulk and stuff like that. And that's a storyline in the comics.
That's that shit we did.
Well, we don't get that because we can't make the Hulk movie. So they throw this in with Thor, and now we kind of ruin Thor because
you know what? If they make a Hulk movie, maybe that's what they should do. Is they should go back to his time there.
No, because we're never going to get a proper Hulk movie. If we get a Hulk movie, it's going to be like Maestro or something like that, where it's really something really weird and really out there. It's never going to happen.
But imagine if we get to see Jeff Goldblum again.
Honestly, I love Jeff Goldblum, but please don't.
No.
Please don't do that to me again. Then we go to Black Panther, in which we get, this is
my favorite Marvel movie.
And it's a lot of people's. Black Panther is probably one of the highest rated movies. I think it's a really good story. It's a really good just overall. Again, it's one of these movies that it could just be plucked out of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and just played as a movie. It doesn't need to be Marvel. It doesn't need to be anything. You could just spend like this weird, strange country hidden in Africa, and one of the king is also a soldier. Or they give the Black Panther mantle to an individual or whatever. Great movie. Black Panther is also kind of its own trilogy. I'm making up these trilogies. These aren't real. If you look them up, you're not going to find information on this. You might find theory information, but Black Panther in itself, with the Avengers movies that followed, is kind of its own trilogy where these three are all directly connected to one another. Yeah. Because right after that, we go into Avengers Infinity War. Now, Avengers Infinity War.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about Avengers Infinity War because it does something that no other movie has ever done before, and that's kill off half of your cast and end the movie. Okay. You want to know what happens? You have to wait a year, 9 months, give or take. No, sorry, almost exactly a year. April 27th, 2018 to April 26th, 2019. You have to wait.
You literally have to wait 364 days just to find out what happened.
Yes.
They start Endgame off savage. Boom. They killed Thanos. Cut his head off.
Yeah.
Brutal.
I mean, in Infinity War was strange. It was something that I don't think a lot of people were expecting. I think a lot of people were expecting, us to see a success. Those guys should win.
We won in Avengers 1, Age of Ultron, then we had a Civil War battle. Everywhere else, it's just been win. And then here they're like, boom, Spider-Man's dead.
I also think
Nick Fury's gone.
Other than the trilogies, the other Avengers movies, you could probably watch as standalone movies. You could easily watch the Avengers movie as a standalone movie, know very little about the characters.
That's for sure.
And watch it by itself. You could watch the Avengers Age of Ultron. You would have a little bit of catching up to do, but I don't even think you would have to catch up that much. There's literally like maybe 2 things in it, and that's the visions that Tony has. That might be all that I can think of, really, that would affect previous movies for you to have information on. Other than that, I think you're fine. Like, did you know that the guy at the beginning of Avengers Age of Ultron, Von Strucker, is actually a villain from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and shows up in multiple episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Yep, he's in the beginning. He's got the monocle.
I'd have to see a picture of him. I don't.
It's fine. It's not a big deal. But
I didn't like Age of Ultron. I really didn't.
A lot of people don't really. My point being is that you could watch that movie basically without knowing any other context, and it'd be fine. If you picked up Infinity War and tried to watch it, I think you would be lost very quickly.
Yeah,
because they start off with the division of the teams. I'm talking about where everyone is, and you just be like, "Who are all these people?" And then they start to collect everyone together. We drop. First the movie actually starts in space. It starts in space. We kill off a bunch of Asgardians. Yeah, we drop Hulk into Earth, and then we talk with a bunch of people, and then we just like start ping ponging around and talking to a bunch of characters. After that, we get Ant-Man and the Wasp.
The first time they permanently
Kill off character.
yeah. Infinity War?
Oh, what? Well,
Because that's when they kill off Black Widow.
yeah.
Or
You-
not
you
Black
mean
Widow.
Avenger? You got to be
Yeah.
more specific because they kill off people all the time. So you got to be more
Like,
specific.
like a main
Avenger?
yeah.
Yes.
Because I know that blip happened in
Infinity War. Drop about time.
yeah.
Yes, this is the first time I permanently kill an Avenger.
Yeah.
Um,
I was getting her death and oh, I can't think of her name. Guardians of the Galaxy. Green chick. I don't remember her name. That's something.
well, that's in Infinity War.
That is
Black, Black Widow is in Endgame.
okay. See, that's what it was. I was getting them mixed up. I thought, yeah, okay.
Gilmore, just
Yeah, there it is.
after Infinity War, we do this weirdly weird thing where we have two movies in between. One of them establishes information that we do need to know.
So what was that? What was that question?
Theoretically, know. But we have Ant-Man and the Wasp,
That's
which is kind of weird. At the end, they blip, but we're just kind of watching this movie.
he does kind of blip.
Right. We're kind of just watching this movie, and it's just like kind of weird because we just watched a bunch of people blip like a few months before. We just seen everyone get killed off. So like watching this movie, we have no idea kind of the timeline. And I think at that point, I think they just shouldn't have made any movies. Obviously, I know they couldn't because they're a business that wants to make money. But from a storytelling aspect, you should have just made no movies. Waited, showed us Endgame after that, or showed us Ant-Man and the Wasp before.
What else did they give us?
Captain Marvel.
Oh,
Captain Marvel is kind of a fine movie to put in between there because of the time placement that it takes, and it takes place back in the 90s and is established in Captain Marvel as a character, so that we can see her in Endgame.
Yeah. It explains the message sent out in Infinity War. People dogged on Captain Marvel, and that was why I didn't watch it for a while. Then I watched it, and I was like, "This is actually a really good."
You can't
movie.
listen to people on the internet.
Yeah, good. You can listen to us though. You can listen to us.
I mean, I'm not going to tell you that. I'm not going to be like that movie is bad, but like not be able to contextualize it. And I mean, sure, there was probably some plot holes and stuff like that, but Brie Larson got a bunch of hate just unnecessarily, just to start right off the bat, and that was crazy.
I mean, it's hard to go from Scott Pilgrim to Captain Marvel. Okay.
I don't think so. And that wasn't even the movie that she did most prior before that. It was, it was Jump Street. 21 Jump Street. Sure is. Moving on. Avengers Endgame. I'm just going to frazzle you like that. Avengers Endgame happens and it erases what happened before. But again, it's another movie that if you haven't seen anything else, it doesn't work as well. I don't think Endgame is as good as Infinity War. I think it does have better set pieces.
Yeah, it's just I found the Endgame to be very all over the place and chaotic.
I think it's a little bit supposed to be like that intentionally,
for sure,
because they're traveling through time and space simultaneously.
Yeah, which is usually like a big no.
Yeah, it's
like every
the part that it was well, right, but we were going back to stuff that we had seen in previous movies, and I think that's where they thought it was going to be okay. And for the most part, it was because they kept going back to scenes that we had previously saw.
Yeah,
so there was that. I think that they were banking on
going back to the Avengers, Avengers first movie. Is it look?
In Endgame is they're trying to wrap up their phases here. Right?
Sure.
They're trying to wrap up their saga. We're closing in on the end of the Infinity Saga, right? And we're doing a bunch of stuff for payoffs. Cap lifts the hammer. We see Giant Man. Ant-Man comes back. we get all, the big fight at the end, this whole big set battle, is continuously just kind of like picking out these pieces. I mean, we get this strange Avengers team that I actually really like, that I wish they almost would have went more into this like secret Avengers that was happening, because you have the general from Wakanda, Captain Marvel, Rocket, War Machine, Black Widow is running the secret Avengers. Like,
Yeah.
we get this really strange Avengers team, and I just would have loved to see them like tackle a mission, even for a second. Like, instead of having that meeting in the room, maybe they got, maybe they're, I don't know, some small,
Just some little side piece over here.
well, they could have had that same conversation, but they could have been doing a mission while they were doing it, right? So they're breaking up, some what are the flag smashers type situation or something, similar to that, because it's during the blip. So maybe there's a lot of chaos going on. So maybe we just do a small little snippet like that, and then during that, then the War Machine gets his little call about Barton. So it's basically all that whole scene just established the Barton thing, right? So after that, things we're trying to get back to normal, and we get Spider-Man Far From Home, and I think they did this intentionally, right? So we have a bunch of chaos for the last 4 movies: Infinity War, Ant-Man and the Wasp, which was a little less chaos, but it felt weird positioned right there. Then we get Captain Marvel, and then we get Avengers and Endgame, right? What's really good superhero comfort food? Spider-Man,
For sure.
so we end on Spider-Man. We're dealing with the death of Tony through the eyes of Spider-Man, and we're also seeing, we see the blip happen, reverse, like the snap back, and things trying to go back to how they were. And that's the Infinity Saga. So overall, let's just talk about the Infinity Saga. It's pretty good. A lot of the plot lines are established well. It takes us up into Avengers. Age of Ultron is actually the movie. It's a movie that's not liked by a lot of people, but it sets up so much stuff.
Yeah.
It's actually the movie that we find out about the Infinity Stones. And it gives us Vision and the Scarlet Witch. And it also sets up the Avengers compound. It sets up so much stuff, but it's just so... Those things are just so kind of pushed to the side for the main plot, which I understand, but I don't know. They need to do something else there, I think. And Ultron is such a sick character, just like in general through the comics. And
that's kind of another reason why that's kind of the reason why I didn't like it, is because like I knew Ultron was supposed to be like, obviously I didn't know much about Ultron, but I knew enough to be like, oh, this is supposed to be like a real big bad guy.
He's a big dude.
Like someone they fight regularly back to back. Like I watched a cartoon on Netflix. They had one there once before Disney Plus, and it was literally like a world where Ultron took over, and like the kids of the Avengers are like living in the forest with Vision, and I think it's Vision, maybe Tony Stark, but like it's the kids living in the forest and hiding from them, and then they go into the city for some reason. Well, like it was that where I was like, well, yeah, this is supposed to be like some big bad guy, Obviously, in cartoons and comics, he takes over quite a lot, or he gets, he's a huge struggle for them, and then it's just like one movie, and then what was his goal in the movie? To just destroy humanity or something? Because browse the internet for.
Well, you've seen that the Avengers. Well, it was basically like the Avengers were such a problem that. The Avengers are such a problem that we need to erase them. And really, it's not them. It's all of humanity. So let's just get rid of humanity and start it over, basically. That's what he came to.
Yeah.
And it wasn't put out that well. And they just didn't really establish it that well. Overall, the Infinity Saga was pretty good. I mean, it's where we started. It's the base of everything. It's always going to be looked fondly upon, and maybe that's some of that nostalgia type stuff going on, where it's just like we look at it fondly because we liked it. It's the same thing with like Tobey Maguire. Spider-Man is the best Spider-Man, even though Andrew Garfield did a pretty good job.
What I always like to say when it comes to the topic of Spider-Man is they each played their respective Spider-Man perfect.
Correct. We got lots still to go through, so let's keep on trucking here. The multiverse saga starts 2 years after Spider-Man Far From Home. We have actually 2 years without a movie now.
They were releasing shows though.
Yeah, what I'm looking at here, it doesn't show the shows. So we get WandaVision, The Falcon, The Winter Soldier, and Loki. These come out back to back to back.
Yeah.
You know, I appreciate every show that they've released, and I don't say there's any that I didn't like. People don't like Secret Invasion. I can see why we don't like Secret Invasion.
I actually really enjoyed Secret Invasion.
But there are parts of Secret Invasion I enjoyed. However, it is kind of a mess.
It's a little all over the place.
Yeah. We'll go back to shows, but currently for movies, we have Black Widow, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, Eternals, Spider-Man No Way Home, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, Thor Love and Thunder, Black Panther Wakanda Forever. This phase may be the most divisive phase that they have put out.
So first phase where we don't get a movie from any of the big ones?
That's
another.
We have
another.
We have Thor.
Oh, Thor. Yeah, okay. There it is.
I'm going to say it right now. This is my hot take. Eternals, not a bad movie.
No, I actually really enjoyed that one too.
Not a bad movie. Eternals.
I think actually I enjoyed...
Out of this phase, it might be...
all of the movies?
Might be top...
I don't think I liked... No, I don't think I enjoyed Multiverse of Madness as much as I enjoyed the first Doctor Strange.
That's fair.
And out of all of these movies, I might have enjoyed that one the least.
Yep. See, they do this really weird thing where they use these
I'm going to throw Love and Thunder below that, only because of how much love I have for Gore the God Butcher, and that's another Age of Ultron situation where they took this really big bad guy and they
just killed him off in the movie.
Threw him alive.
Thor Love and Thunder is straight up trash. I hated that fucking movie. I've seen it one time. I've never seen it again.
That's fair.
That movie was straight up garbage. I was like, they massacred my boy. I wasn't even like a huge Thor fan to start with, which is probably part of the problem. But I liked characters surrounding Thor, and I liked the mythology.
I feel like they could have...
And that was total fucking trash.
Yeah.
It was a garbage fest. Every fucking scene was stupid.
What?
I can't even think of Natalie Portman's character, but he's like trying to one-up her on how they look. So he like keeps changing his outfit to look cooler and cooler, theoretically cooler and cooler, and he looks fucking stupid and dumber every time he does it. It was garbage.
It looked cool when you were fat Thor. I don't know what you're on about.
The fact that we sit here, we're gonna have these weapons themselves have sentience, which I can deal with weapons having sentience, but it's the way you went about it. That it was only ever sentient when it was when it was jealous. Yeah. It's like, come on. You know, there's just these dumb things. You know, they had the goats, and the goats were like kind of like a dumb piece, but like I could have dealt with the goats if that was like
goats.
Right, the goats, yeah. He like flies on the ship and he uses Stormbreaker to create a bridge, and the goats run on the bridge carrying the boat that they have. It's goats. I'm pretty sure they're goats. There's a big part.
I've seen the movie once.
Okay. Yeah. So they have these goats. They're just screaming goats all the time.
Oh,
they're like sort of funny, and like that part was like funny, where I was willing to deal with that. But then it was just stupid fucking scene after dumb scene. It was like they go to the Council of all the Gods instead of showing us these impressive, all-powerful God-like or God beings. They just shit on them the whole time and just make it stupid.
Well, it is stupid. Personally, I think that's kind of how they would act. They don't care. They don't.
But he was being Zeus was being like actually fucking stupid.
That's true. He was being stupid. He was being a douche, but like
I'm okay with
that
them.
Follows Zeus's track record there.
Yeah, I'm okay with him being a douche. I'm okay with them having a nonchalant, we don't care about human type thing. That's all fine. But when you act, when you are actually fucking stupid. And I don't mean like dumb funny. I mean like low intelligence individuals. It's like, come on. First of all, if you're the leader of all the gods, why are you so dumb?
Another thing, I like Russell Crowe. Not a good pick.
They could
Not a good pick
for Zeus. They could have did someone else.
Like I said,
He could have been. I think he could have done fine if it was serious.
For sure. He definitely plays.
If he wasn't silly and like doing this little skirt thing and like, oh, that's yeah. That's what I'm talking.
Like, how do you go from playing the Gladiator
to and then they like flash and like Thor's clothes come off, you know, and it's like,
oh my god, they do,
you know. And then
I do like
you know
catching the lightning bolt and throwing it back at.
There was some cool parts though, you know, like when they went black and white. I really liked that part in the movie. That was really sick to like say that not like we are visually seeing how they are seeing the where they were. That it was like saturated in black and white. That was really cool. But otherwise, straight trash. Anyway, let's go back through these movies. Black Widow. We go back in time and we see Black Widow. It basically is just a way for us to establish.
I'm mad we never got our own Hawkeye movie.
Elena. Oh, got a whole fucking show.
That's not about him though. That's more about her than it is about him. I'm saying I wish we had a movie like Black Widow got a movie so we could see how he became what he became.
No, I don't agree with you. I think the Hawkeye show, if not leaning more his way, was 50-50. It was dealing with the ramifications of being Hawkeye, being a man with the Avengers, of having to deal with your family also simultaneously as wanting to retire from being a superhero. We had her to establish the new Hawkeye, to pick up the mantle and establish some new villains in situations that we will see in the future, I suppose.
Oh, we did get the swordsman.
Yes.
And we've seen him.
Yes. Black Widow, it was okay. Shang-Chi was actually the first movie in Phase 4 where we were like, well, it's only the second movie, but it's the first time I think after we've seen all these shows and stuff that we were like actually mind blown, and we were like, okay.
That's another person I've seen people speculate that they might want in Spider-Man, Shang-Chi. And like, it would be cool, but it wouldn't make sense.
It's not gonna happen.
It would.
You like the new movie?
Yeah.
The only reason people are saying that is because it's the same director. Oh, yeah. That won't happen.
I want a new movie with him though, or something.
He's gonna show up in the Avengers movies. I'm pretty sure he is in those.
Because he's like savage.
Yeah, he's badass. I'm prepared to see him again for sure. I'm surprised we didn't get him again sooner. Eternals. Again, I like the Eternals. I didn't think it was bad. I thought it was a good movie. It was fun.
I got kind of confused when they were like zooming through the times of them being.
And I think that's a big criticism that a lot of people have. Yeah. But overall, I think
that's like it was. I enjoyed it. Yeah. The main reason I watched it is because what did I watch? I think it was Secret Invasion, and that's what I was like. Okay, I was like, maybe it was something else. But I didn't know.
I don't think Eternals is. It's the only Eternals only has one.
The Eternals, the Celestial that's in the water. Oh, it's. Yep, that's what it is. Brave New World or whatever.
Yep,
they should have stuck with the original name.
Yep, they sure should have, but they didn't, just because they were slightly afraid of ramifications for that. We get No Way Home, which is, it's one of these movies that it has two sides to the coin, right? One, it's honestly overall kind of a mediocre movie. It's really not that great overall. The storyline is kind of like, and
I like it because it's a Spider-Man movie.
Right, and that's the thing, right? It's a Spider-Man movie. It shows us all the other Spider-Man. We get all the villains, right? Yeah. We have all this cool stuff going on and all these like scenes and stuff. And I think this is part of the multiverse problem, right? Is we have all these cool things going on, but like there's not really, Willem Dafoe comes back, the Green Goblin, and I love the Green Goblin.
Yeah, I love the Goblin. We get Sandman,
but the overall
we don't actually get to see.
But the overall story, like what does this add to?
It doesn't
anything at all. And we don't have to add continuously to the MCU. We don't have to, go into these other movies, which this movie actually does.
Spider-Man on 5 movies in it? With
He's 4 movies. He's in more than 4 movies. So, but this is his 4th movie.
Adultery, the first one. Second one, he's in DC.
What do we do? He has 4 movies. I'm telling you. This is his 4th.
Okay. I'm good.
DC, London, New York, New York.
Where does Ryan Gosling's character?
Movie set. Not Ryan Gosling.
Not Ryan Gosling. No.
I can't think of his name right now either.
Oh,
Jake Gyllenhaal.
there it is.
That's in London. Or it's actually not in London. The end is actually in London. The most of the movie, I don't remember where it takes place.
That's movie.
That's 2.
That's 2. Okay.
He has 4 movies. DC ends in New York. Starts in some European country I don't remember. Ends in London. Third one is all in New York. This next one is all New York.
Okay.
Yeah, so No Way Home, it's not that great of a movie, honestly. It's the plot of it, like I said, it doesn't need to overall connect to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which this movie actually does kind of greatly in a way. It sets up our multiverse stuff here. But it doesn't add anything to Spider-Man, really. Other than the main thing that it does is it erases his identity.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like weird because in the previous movie, it got revealed just at the end, like in the post-credit scene. So like it didn't even need to be revealed. Like you get what I'm saying? Like we did a post-credit scene to reveal Spider-Man's identity, so we could have a movie about him reconciling his identity.
Yeah.
That is the only thing that happens in this movie, other than establishing incursions, which I'll talk about incursions after we go through a couple more of these movies. We get Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, more incursions here. Okay. So we're establishing Doctor Strange, we're establishing Scarlet Witch going into other things. If you haven't seen WandaVision at this point, you're lost.
Yeah, for sure.
You're lost on her whole shit. And this is why I'm telling you why these movies are divisive and like why this phase is divisive. All right, we get Thor, Love and Thunder. We already shit on that movie. Probably the worst movie in this phase. It might be the worst movie in the saga. The next movie I'm going to tell you here, or not the next movie, the movie after that, also ranks up there pretty high for worst movie, but just not good. Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. I'm not going to say a lot about it because you had a real life death and it affected our storyline here.
And that's
part of why we got what we got. But it did establish Namor. That's kind of about it. But it was cool to see.
And it brought us Shuri.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we had Shuri, but it brings us to Black Panther as Shuri, or Shuri as Black Panther.
No, not Shuri. Ironheart.
Oh,
Yeah, very similar name.
It is kind of a similar name, or at least her nickname. I can't remember offhand. But yeah, we get Ironheart established in that movie. The Phase 5 then. So we end there, and we go into Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. I've only seen this movie twice. People really regard this movie as garbage as well, and maybe rivaling Thor: Love and Thunder for worst movie. There's another movie actually coming up here that people also really didn't like, but I didn't mind Quantumania that much. It was weird. It kind of gave us a Guardians of the Galaxy vibe.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think
It was a different type of route.
Can I see bits for one more time? It gave us another, I feel like, a better comedy movie than Love and Thunder.
Yeah, Love and Thunder. And maybe that's where, maybe we're not looking at this broadly enough. Maybe that's what they're trying to hit as like certain types of movies, is to bring
That could be.
and that's their funny movie. But it's just the
guy on the Shang-Chi being pretty far.
It had its moments. It was more like an Ant-Man type of funny, where it was like we had these kind of heartwarming, the super
like for sure
personal kind of moments, but then we also had like this like so like kind of like fun kind of vibe to it. it wasn't like super serious, but it was just like, some of the characters would make like little jokes or, or whatever. And I didn't mind that. Yeah, that's fine. But yeah,
I enjoyed Quantum.
I didn't mind it. It was fine. It didn't establish too much for us other than Kang eventually.
Yeah.
I guess that's a big thing. We have Loki and then Kang, so we kind of see Kang in these two different kind of realms.
And that's kind of what. But even then, like, it gives us Kang, but like, if you don't know who Kang is, you're gonna watch that and be like, I don't understand why this guy is here.
We're gonna wrap up the rest of these movies here. We've talked a lot about recaps on movies, but not really about overall. So I'm just gonna run through the rest of these movies. Well, we can make just short comments. But Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, it was okay. I didn't like it as much as the others. The Marvels, I liked it. Other people didn't admit it. I liked it. It set up some stuff. It gave us a little team up. It was cool. Deadpool, Wolverine. That Deadpool and Wolverine is another movie where it's like we liked it, but actually it wasn't that great. It was like it didn't establish.
There was no need for it.
Yeah,
it was just another pretty much one of those movies. It's a standalone movie.
Yeah, I think it adds more to this encouraging things, which I'll talk about here in a little bit. But it really just like kind of looks.
It connects Deadpool to the MCU because we didn't bring up Deadpool at all. Yeah. Okay.
Well, we didn't own Deadpool. Yeah.
They told us sure. Who owned it? Fox?
Yes. We get Captain America: Brave New World. Again, people didn't like this movie that much. It's kind of like sitting around the mid mark, and
I feel like people didn't like it as much just because of the fact that we were expecting a lot more Red Hulk, and then we got like 20 minutes of it at the end of the movie.
Yeah, the big problem with Captain America: Brave New World really was that it was Hulk 2 without Hulk. It's just like the unfortunate bit of it. Like, we got all the people that were in the previous Hulk movie kind of wrapping up their storylines, which was nice, but without Hulk, it's just like,
there's no,
and it really just felt like we were pitting the new Captain America against old Hulk villains, and instead of establishing a new villain for Cap to go against, we're just having him face someone else's old villains that we kind of set by the wayside. And I think that is cool to see. I think that
Hulk versus Red Hulk.
And I think that's why that movie suffered. Maybe we'll get Red Hulk in the future. That would be cool.
Didn't they stop that? Stop him being able to turn into Red Hulk?
I don't think that was established.
Oh, I thought they did something. Because after they put him on the raft,
he just took his ass to the raft. I don't think we got anything more than that.
Okay.
I don't think we know anything. After that, we get the new Avengers. Glitterbolts. Which is fine. I just rewatched it. It was a decent movie. It was good. As far as like all these characters that we've kind of picked from here and there, and throwing them together. I think they did a good job with you not needing to watch anything else. Yeah, but no one liked Taskmaster anyway.
Nobody liked the MCU established.
Yeah. And that's what it is, right? So I think it was just like, let's just get rid of them because I think enough people don't like them. And I don't think they fit in with the rest of the movie either.
When I watched the movie, I Googled, it was like, why the hell did they kill Taskmaster? And the reason Google gave me was to show that anyone is capable of dying. But then I read that, and I was like, didn't we get that back in Infinity War?
Yeah.
Where they're just like,
well, in Endgame, we permanently killed off an Avenger and a Guardian.
Yeah. Half a Guardian.
Gamora?
Yeah, would they bring her back? That's
the.
What I say, half a Guardian. So she's.
And then Phase 6 is what we're in right now. So we have Fantastic Four: First Steps. I actually love this movie. I'm a Fantastic Four fan. I never seen Fantastic Four with the 4 in the middle. I never seen the Mike Teller, Michael B. Jordan garbage fest that was supposedly out there. I never seen it, so I don't actually know. I'm not going to comment that much on it. But I love the previous iteration of them and them as a general. If you were to look through my comic books and add up the monies that my comic books total, you're going to find that I have a stack of Invisible Woman comics that may or may not be more money than I'm going to say out loud. CGC, the comic book grading company, may or may not currently have one of my Invisible Woman cups. Moving on. And that brings us to current day, right? So we got Spider-Man Brand New Day. That's going to be their next movie here, as well as a lineup of movies. So
because we've only gotten it. Fantastic Four.
part of Phase 6. Yeah. So let's talk about it. So we've slowed way down, right? It's taken us almost an hour to get to this point. I might cut some stuff out. We'll see. I'm gonna keep that in. We slowed way down on the movie and TV production because I think a lot of people were finding that the quality was going down. And there was another thing that was happening, and that was Kevin Feige wasn't present for most of these movies. Kevin Feige is a huge nerd, and he actually likes to be involved, even though he is like a producer, and generally producers aren't always involved in their productions. But Kevin Feige does like to be involved. And so when we started to pump these shows out, like we said before, we had WandaVision, The Falcon and Winter Soldier, and Loki back to back to back. Literally, they came out. We had like maybe 2 weeks, and then the next show started.
But I enjoyed all of those.
Yeah, I did as well. But I think it was that, and then we just kept on pumping about these different shows, and then we started these animated shows, and we get What If, and we're just continuing to pump out these other shows, and there was a little thing about just like COVID being around that time as well. And I think it just became hard for them to keep up on everything that they were doing and also keep up the quality. So I think, we've seen that in Phase 4. In Phase 5, we started to course correct, I think, a little bit and try to go back to form. But we also still had, Quantumania and the Marvels. Again, movies that I feel are fine. They're not great. But they were fine. That was Phase 5.
Wasn't unbearable to watch.
Yeah, well, I think, the post Endgame era,
I feel like they were really lost after Endgame. Because from start to Endgame, maybe not from the start, but definitely from like Avengers, they had a direction that they wanted to go.
We weren't lost. We weren't lost at all. We knew exactly what we were doing. We established it in the third TV show that we set into motion. We said we want to tidy up some of the characters that we hold dear to us, Scarlet and Vision. And then we were just trying to establish a new Cap, right?
Yeah.
And then we said, let's start moving this forward. So we set Loki into motion. Loki establishes our next phase and actually establishes our next villain.
That's true.
We know where we're going. We know where we're going. We know what we're doing.
That's probably my favorite of all the shows, to be honest.
Loki, yeah. Loki is pretty high up there for me.
Especially season 2. Season 2 I really enjoyed.
I liked season 1, I think, more than season 2. Season 2, I think, was still really good. Is it my favorite show out of the Marvel Studios shows? Daredevil comes out this week, so we'll have to see.
Season forgot that we officially added Daredevil.
But we don't count the Netflix shows to compete against these. I wouldn't count.
That's what I'm saying. We've officially added him to the MCU. Because those movies, the Defenders movies or shows, weren't related at all to the MCU.
There was hints that here.
Maybe they brought it up here and there, but they weren't like directly related like a lot of these other movies.
Yeah, we didn't even own that.
Yeah,
that too. Disney didn't own those or operate without. They were just kind of riffing off the fact of like, they would mention things and say like the big green guy or something like that,
Yeah,
but So I do have to argue. I think we do know our direction. I think again, it has to come down to development and where they were making these movies, and then obviously we had issues with King, in that kind of issue. I think the biggest issue post Endgame really comes down to our expectations, and I think Phase 3 put our expectations so fucking high for the movies because every movie in Phase 3 was pretty much a fucking banger.
That's true.
We have Civil War. We get the second Spider-Man movie. That's actually after Endgame. We have Black Panther. We have Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Infinity War and Endgame, it just sets this precedent. And I think after that, people weren't ready to like take a break, slow back down, and come back down to level 1 and rebuild back up.
Yeah.
I don't think people were prepared for that. And when it happened, and people started to get upset after, the shows came
because
out.
they were really the movies were all very like, I don't want to say action packed because that's not necessarily the word I'm looking for, but like at the same time it kind of is. They were like really all in your face, and then we needed to slow it down.
Well, yeah, we ended our saga, and we needed to come back to just like chill, introduce some new characters, and kind of redevelop like where everyone is, and where are we going to head to, right? And we start off with Black Widow to reflect on that character, and then we also got Shang-Chi, Eternals, giving us new characters. Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, looking at some newish characters that were established in kind of the last phase. Thor, we can excuse that, and then Black Panther again is another movie where we're giving them their second movie from being in the last phase and kind of establishing where they were.
Just saying it. T'Challa was alive. Probably would have smoked Namor.
Probably, and I think that was part of that story, right? Is she wasn't a warrior and kind of had to become one.
Yeah.
But overall, I don't fault Disney. I don't think that any of the movies are terrible. Most of the movies that people regard as really bad, I actually enjoyed. Eternals and the Marvels being two of them. I actually really enjoyed those movies, and I think they were doing what they've always done, and the genre was different. And I think that was part of the problem, right? Is that in the first couple of phases, we kind of stuck to like a couple of genres. In whatever character it was, mostly had that genre attached to them. I mean, Captain America went from a war movie to a spy movie, and then kind of did a superhero movie. Iron Man movies are all kind of just like
Iron Man.
Yeah, kind of the Iron Man genre, the action kind of genre movie. And, we come into this and we get Shang-Chi, so we're establishing a kung fu martial arts movie, our first proper martial artist. We get Eternals, in which we're establishing this kind of like weird kind of sci-fi kind of movie that's a little bit different than, well, it is very different than a Guardians of the Galaxy sci-fi movie.
For sure.
Where it's more dramatic. It's a drama kind of sci-fi movie.
Absolutely.
We get Doctor Strange, which introduces us to like a horror aspect movie. Thor, again, I keep coming back to Thor. I'm just going to stop saying it because I don't even know what we were trying to establish there. And I think we were just going in different directions and trying to see and feel out what we liked, but I felt like, a lot of people just hated on it. But I actually really liked most of those movies.
Yeah, there really was much. I mean,
it doesn't establish it. It doesn't add anything to our plot. It doesn't establish.
Like I know we said like for a few other movies that like it doesn't do much, but most of those movies it does.
They have hints. Yeah, they have hints and stuff there. It gives us the mighty Thor who retires basically by the end, and then it gives us Love, which I don't even know if that's a real character in comics, none that I've seen. And it gave us, the God Butcher in the Butcher. It gave us Eternity, which was cool to see. I really love the way they did Eternity, but it just wasn't necessary at this point in the story.
I feel like them doing that was just another thing because Eternity is also like a celestial, right?
No, I believe they rank on the level of entity. These are weird terms that I don't know all the terms. The Celestials are the big guys in the Eternals specifically, I believe.
Yeah,
those are the Celestials. I don't know.
I thought that's what Eternity. I thought that's what Eternity was. Because they look like very the same. They got that same.
No.
Funky.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Eternity. I'll show you a picture of Eternity. Eternity looks like it just looks like negative space, but love the cosmos. That's a turn.
Okay, so why I always thinking that was because they're just big and they're kind of shaped similar.
This is terrible audio if you're listening to audio. Not the same. Not the same. I believe, like I said, I believe they are categorized as like an entity similar to like Death, which is a character.
Yeah.
That we obviously we do see Death eventually.
We do see Death eventually. That's a very good show. I did watch that. I really did enjoy that.
I like that show a lot too, actually.
Yeah. That was really good.
Yeah. We're talking about
Agatha Long.
Yeah.
I love who they chose to play her too.
Yeah, to Catherine Hunt.
Her too.
Aubrey Plaza.
Yeah.
Catherine Hunt. Hell yeah. Everyone is fantastic.
When they brought her on the screen originally, I was looking at her and I was like, it's like,
Aubrey
who is
Plaza.
it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, whose face is it? I was like, why do I know that?
Yeah. No, they picked the perfect person for that. So I got two more things I want to just talk about here, and then we can wrap up. This might just spin off into its own whole own show because we have so much we could talk about. Marvel, we could go in depth on each individual movie and everything. So I want to talk about the multiverse problem, and then we're going to wrap it up with kind of our final verdicts and if Marvel can kind of come back. And I think with Spider-Man we will. But let's talk about the multiverse problem. So, and it really has to deal with Jonathan Majors, and it kind of fucks it up, right?
Yeah,
it's partially Jonathan Majors' fault, and we're going to throw some of the blame at you, Jonathan Majors, for what you did and kind of affecting our overall movies. We're not going to really talk about or elaborate on anything that he did because it's still needles free. Yeah, you can check out with Jonathan Majors why he's no longer part of the MCU, but they were establishing him as Kang the Conqueror in other variants of Kang in order to establish multiverses in this multiversal war that was going to happen. Okay, and I was really hyped. I also was hyped for it, and there's a lot of things that tie to it because he's actually a descendant of Reed Richards in the way distant future. I think it's like the 31st century or something like that. He's supposed to be a relative to them. So he was supposed to establish the multiverse and, kind of do that thing and be the overall villain for the saga. And the problem we have, I think, right now is that we're so fixated on creating these multiverses and kind of looking at everything. It happens in Spider-Man and in Multiverse of Madness where we look at these variants and we're looking at all these other characters. And again, No Way Home is a fun movie to watch, but it's like an end game movie where it doesn't really it obviously affects our overall plot and our overall world, but it itself is just like, I forget if it's Scorsese or Spielberg or someone like that. One of these big time directors says that a lot of these Marvel movies are basically just amusement park rides. And these are some of those movies that are just amusement park rides. Sure. They're just for fun, and it's fine, but they're not telling this really like personal or grand story. It's really just like a lot of flashy bits and a lot of action scenes.
Here's a movie so we don't lose the rights.
I think it's
or you have that by the fan base.
I think it's partially that, but I think they were trying to set up these multiverses, and at this point, I think we're trying to do something else. So how do you feel about those two movies, and then I guess also Deadpool and Wolverine is also another multiverse movie.
Yeah, I guess I don't mind the whole multiverse stuff, but I feel like something like that is something you could lose control of very fast, and people to lose interest in it very fast.
Well, I think they did it a lot of times, and then it was also just like continuously variants of other characters that we already seen. One character that I did really enjoy was America Chavez, and like what she brought to the film, and like being able to access the multiverse, but not being she herself actually, if you don't know, she can't have a variant as part of her powers, or like part of her interests, her lores, that she doesn't have any variants. She is one of one. But like bringing in these other characters, I mean, they like brought in like Black Bolt, but it was just continuously like Multiverse of Madness did it, Spider-Man, they all did it, and it was just like establishing basically that all these other properties and movies that we've seen in the past exist here as well. Yeah, Human show that got canceled, that's real. We bring in Charles Xavier, which was kind of fun because they're trying to hint at something that comes up later in the next saga. But also it's just like continuously just like, kind of that has been described, and you can actually look up this term called a cameo fest, where if the character doesn't serve any purpose to the greater story and has less than 5% screen time within the movie, it's essentially a cameo. And if it's just continual, if like most of the characters on screen just end up being that, other than obviously extras and stuff, yeah, you could just consider it a cameo offense.
Yeah, that is really all specifically Multiverse of Madness was just a huge cameo fest.
Yeah, in Spider-Man, it wasn't really a cameo fest. And then obviously in Deadpool Wolverine, it was clearly, that was what it was intended to be. And Deadpool as a Wolverine is a movie I could break down on a very, very serious level. I can get into the specifics of why some of that stuff was happening. And even if the jokes weren't actually jokes, but that's something we could maybe look at a different time.
He said, "Oh, comic book accurate Wolverine."
How are you feeling about the multiverses right now before I really lean in and secure that the multiverse problem is now no longer a problem? How do you feel about it?
I don't mind it. I mean, like I said, I feel like they could lose control of it really quickly and people lose interest very fast. I feel like they've been doing okay with it. They haven't been doing too bad because I feel like they haven't done anything like too crazy, in my opinion. But it's still problematic a little.
What if I told you that Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness establishes something called incursions, right? And it establishes it as bad. And in doing so, we show that it affects the person doing it specifically and can affect a world. So Doctor Strange goes to this world where the sinister Doctor Strange is, and his world was destroyed because of incursions. What if the Spider-Man No Way Home, treatment that it got, that was a lot of incursions that happened. What if another world collides with that world? You get Deadpool Wolverine, which they travel across a couple of different multiverses. What if that brings a bunch of worlds and universes to collide into each other and smash into each other specifically?
While I could see that, I feel like that's the whole point we get from season 2 of Loki. Is that kind of what he stops? Is that from happening?
Right. Well, what if you have one grand individual who knew that this was happening, has the power to secure this to happen? That's what we get done. Exactly. So this leads us into Doomsday and Doctor Doom himself. And it is theorized that this is what is happening, right? Is that all these incursions are breaking all of existence in all of these different universes. And we have one guy who wants to stop this. Doctor Doom. So right now, that's kind of where what is the theory? Is
trying to stop the incursions or trying to stop
trying to fix what is happening. What is his meanings of this?
Guy.
Yeah, well, and that's usually Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom is usually the guy where he's like, I'm doing this for the greater
He's
good.
seen as the bad guy because of how he goes about it.
Certain. I'm reading a comic book event right now. It happened a couple months ago. It ended already. So it's called One World Under Doom, right? Where he convinces the world leaders
To give him all the power.
And he has universal schooling, universal healthcare.
All you guys gotta do,
no war.
kick back, hang out.
Yeah,
I'll take it from here.
Yeah, he 1v1s. He loses, and the Avengers have to actually come and help him. But he 1v1s Dormammu. Savage. Dormammu strips him down to nothing. It basically almost kills him.
Oh, for sure. I get it. Dormammu.
Doom basically summons all the magic that he has in order to keep his body still together and alive.
And that's why Doctor Strange, when he went against Dormammu, he's like, I'm not going to beat this guy, right? So we're going to trap him in a time loop.
Well, yeah. You got an Infinity Stone as a whole different,
Yeah.
whole different realm. You go there in 1v1 without the Infinity Stone, which happens. So I think that's where we're at right now. And I think they're going to use, we got it right over there. I do. Yes, I do have the time stone over there. Halfway through, into phase 5 here is kind of when we lost our Kang stuff, And that's where I think we're scrambling a little bit. So we switch over to the Doom stuff. We start rewriting how everything went, right? We don't backtrack on what we did or retcon anything that's happened. We just have to
We just write it.
We just write it in.
Fix it.
Yeah. We write it in that we're fixing it, right?
Which is going to be weird. I don't know how they're going to fix it, but we'll have to wait till Doomsday.
Yep. Well, and then the follow-up, Secret Wars. We have 2 movies. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. But I guess that's the final question: is can we fix it? For sure. For sure.
I'm going to say they're going to be
yeah,
but play their cards right. Pay your writers decently.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'll say that.
And they could fix it.
I think they are. And if the indication over the last year has shown us anything, it's that they're trying to do better.
For sure.
Brand New Day, not Brand New Day, Brand New World. That's going to get confusing. They shouldn't have done that.
No,
They should not have done that. But Brand New World, Brave New World. Sorry, it's Brave New World.
I still don't.
Yeah, it's still too close.
Brand New Day.
Brave New World. Still too close. Brave New World was a good try, and I think we kind of missed a little bit, but we were trying to do a couple of things to wrap up some ends. I think from stuff in the past.
They were definitely trying to wrap up the Hulk
stuff, and we also were trying to tie in the Eternals. What's his Tiamat.
Oh yeah,
the Celestial's name is Tiamat that we froze. We were trying to bring that in, bring in adamantium at the same time. And I think Sam Wilson was over there. He doesn't have super strength, but we threw a whole ass car on him, and he's just trying to lift. I think not him. Obviously, he wasn't. I think he did a fantastic job acting it. But the movie itself was trying to lift what it could not lift. It was trying to hold up all this stuff. We got Fantastic Four after that. Well, we got Daredevil technically after that, and that was a good win, but it was not that great. There's reasons why it wasn't that great. I'm not going to go into it right now, but it did well. It was fine. Fantastic Four was pretty good. I really liked it, and Thunderbolts was also a decent movie. We took a break. We haven't really seen, I don't think, anything since. Maybe there was one show. Oh, we had Wonder Man. And I think if anything is an indication of how Wonder Man went, we are in a good spot. Wonder Man was fucking fantastic. It might be the best Marvel TV show that has been made within the MCU, at least, sure. Period. I love that show. It was fantastic. It might be outside of even the it might be.
It's definitely up there. I'm sitting here thinking, I was like, any show.
Yeah, Daredevil was pretty good. The original Netflix was really good. Yeah, but Wonder Man was fantastic. Wonder Man is
easily one of the best. That easily, in my opinion, is the best Marvel
TV show. Yeah, I think so.
MCU-wise, I suppose.
It didn't try to lift anything. It just was telling the story. We had some interconnectivity from some characters that we've seen outside. The guy from the DODC we've seen previously. Yeah. But also Slattery we've also seen obviously previously. You didn't need to know where they came from, but only that they existed as the characters that they were.
Yeah.
If that is an indication of where we are headed, in addition to the Spider-Man trailer that we had recently just saw, we are...
That thin line there,
getting a little thicker. You can leave some more thread.
Yeah.
Without it was solid. It looks promising for the trailer. Now the Spider-Man movie has a lot to lift, but I think Spider-Man, double entendre intended, can lift the weight. I think it can deal with the fact that it is going to introduce Jean Grey and an immense portfolio of villains that I think will only be on screen as basically cameos, but I think it's telling a story of how he goes from what we've seen, and then 4 years later we fight all these different villains. Through the years we fight these different villains. I think that's what we'll see, is him fighting these different villains through the years, and then we'll get to present day where we're helping Jean Grey or fighting against Jean Grey is rather what it looks like. And I can go into and elaborate on more of the story, but we'll save that for another time on exactly what I think is happening in that movie. And then the other thing,
to control Spider-Man.
I don't think she can. I don't think she can.
I was saying that too, that he has his senses or something is tuned. Or,
Direct no frequency.
you know what? I will say she can't. And I'm just basing that purely off of when Doctor Strange pushed him out of his body and he goes to grab him. His body's just
it's the erectile frequency.
Yeah.
It's something that's multiversal. It's a whole thing. We can talk about that. It's something that's going to affect him, and I think it's going to affect him in this movie, and it's happened to him already. But I think that, and then us seeing Daredevil and seeing where that heads. First season, again, people had a lot of issues with the first season. It was kind of okay, it wasn't, and there was some mashing up of two different people's ideas on what the show was supposed to be. That I think we missed.
You can definitely, now that you bring that up, you can kind of see that.
Yeah.
You can definitely see that there's a lot of conflict of interest within that show.
Within the writing. You can see like they're trying to do these two different things. And eventually what they settled on, I think, is what they're going to go forward with. And that's kind of the storyline we ended up with in the end.
If in season 2, if they bring the Hand in the season 2,
I don't think we're bringing the film in season 2.
I don't think we would either, but that would pretty much confirm him being in Spider-Man.
Okay, that's fair. I don't,
and that's the only reason why I'm thinking if they do bring it in, or even if they hint at it.
Sure. I mean, I wouldn't be against bringing the Hand back, but I don't think we're going to do that now. I think that would be maybe the next season of Daredevil is what we for sure. So I think
we got to wrap up everything with Fisk here.
I think we're done with Fisk after this season. As far as like being a lingering,
to be honest, thank God.
I think as a lingering villain, I think we're done with him. Or at least, like he might show up.
He was pretty much the overarching villain for the Netflix show.
He was.
Villain of Echo.
Yep.
And now season 1.
Yep.
Born again.
Yeah. And we'll see him again, and then I think we'll be done with him. I think we'll establish the Defenders. I think we'll begin to take on a street level.
Throw his ass in the raft.
I think we'll establish a street level set of movies where we take on the Defenders and we start spinning off these shows into the other Defenders. Give us, we don't want to name the show the same thing that we previously did. This is a conversation we don't need to have right now. Right. We'll talk about it after. Okay. Okay.
So I hope they bring back all the Defenders appropriately, including Iron Fist. I don't think it'll be the same actor, but I hope they do something.
I think we will. So I think Marvel is still fantastic. I think the MCU is still grand and great. I think we've had a low point. I think we're coming back up.
We're definitely past.
We're coming back.
They dropped Wonder Man, and that's what started there. Yes, and maybe possibly rapid incline.
Yeah, I think last year when we had like Thunderbolt and Fantastic Four, we started to slope up a little bit, and maybe we were on a gradient like this, all people liking it. Wonder Man, we're going up, and now Spider-Man trailer dropped. It looked fantastic. The Daredevil trailer dropped. A new one just dropped it right before we were recording. It looked fantastic.
When I watched the trailer, I think it was just it was 22 hours after it had released, 10 million views.
Yeah. We've been waiting for it.
Yeah.
Because we thought it was going to drop during the Super Bowl. Everyone on the internet was like, it's dropping during the Super Bowl.
Really? Interesting. I could see it.
It's the timing appropriate. It's 6 months before the movie releases.
Okay. And I feel like maybe that's why they did it.
We're 4 months away from the movie release.
And another thing could be is like the Super Bowl this year was like super controversial.
Yeah. Maybe they didn't want to,
involve themselves.
Yeah. Well, not just involve themselves, but like pitch a movie into that, and then like that's not even like the headline or like it's not even like part of the grand thing that you've seen.
10 million views in less than 24 hours.
But let's wrap it up here. I think Marvel's on.
They're doing good so far,
up, and I'm happy.
Really good
with where we are.
Yeah. I'm excited.
If what we've heard so far about Doom is correct, I'm excited for that. I love Doom as a character, and I'm excited to see where we head in the future. Hopefully, we'll have more conversations about Marvel in the future. We have so much to talk about. We're probably going to have a short conversation after we're done recording here about what's going on, because I definitely want to have that conversation real quick before we do our next thing here. But thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for joining. Make sure you like, subscribe, do all the things. We'll comment what your favorite movie is.
And your least favorite.
And your least favorite. Yeah.
That's not Love and Thunder.
Yeah, tell me about Love and Thunder. What is going on here? Why is this movie...
Or don't tell us about Love and Thunder. I prefer not to hear about it.
I don't. Yeah, oh my God. I can't believe that movie exists. Thanks for hanging out with us.
It's not even a good stand.
It's not. It's bad. Well,